and experiments in school education. And this project is a part of that objective, and we are very happy that we could do it in time. And this also we decided to start as part of the Golden Jubilee celebration of Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangatans. And anyway, we are very lucky to have these dignitaries in front of us to inaugurate this function. So on behalf of all of you, I extend a warm welcome to all who are present. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have read about him, followed his tweets, gorged on his articles, watched him on television, and listened to his takes on varied topics. All the time, the emotion would have been pure adulation. Adulation for his ideas, his intellect, and his grace. Adulation as he scaled one tall peak after another, as his list of achievements grew day by day. Let us put our hands together for the indomitable stalwart in our midst, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Honorable Minister of State, HRD. May I request him to address the gathering. Sir, please.
Chairman of Kendriya Vidyalaya Pallipuram, Shri Ajay Bharatan. Principal, Mr. Ajay Kumar. The Assistant Commissioner of Kendriya Vidyalaya, Mr. Johnson Matthew. Mr. Srilekha. And above all, the students of Kendriya Vidyalaya, the parents, the teachers, visiting principals, all our friends, ladies and gentlemen. I think friends is probably the simplest way of saying it. I hope you're all friends. Very good morning to everybody. I know it's a hot day and many of you have been waiting for me to arrive, so I want to keep this fairly brief. But I do want to say what a great pleasure it was for me to inaugurate the open maths lab that Kendriya Vidyalaya has now created just outside the main building. You know, I was not terribly fond of mathematics as a child. And one of the reasons I was not fond of mathematics was the way it was taught when I was your age. Mathematics was taught in a very boring, very uninteresting way. You basically had to learn your multiplication tables and recite them so often that they were deeply embedded in your head. Now that's not a bad thing. I can tell you that even today, I'm able to do all sorts of calculations in my head that many foreigners have never learned to do because they started relying on calculators or other ways of doing their maths. Whereas Indian children often have a much more solid grounding in multiplication, division, and some of the basics. But the result of that was that I never got sufficiently stimulated by mathematics to actually pursue it in a very serious way. And though I did well in my school examinations, I ended up not pursuing mathematics at all and going to my own preferred field of interest, which was history and the humanities. But I've always considered that mathematics is a subject that could have benefited from an interesting and creative kind of way of teaching it. Certainly one of the most fascinating characters in 20th century Indian history was the great mathematician A.K. Ramanujan. In fact, I'm told that in the maths lab, in the little space at the back where there is kind of a pedestal, a bust made of fiber of Mr. Ramanujan will be installed. But I honestly think there are very few Indians more interesting than Mr. Ramanujan, and I would urge many of you to read as much as you can about him. In fact, I have a small chapter about Ramanujan in my book, The Elephant, the Tiger, and the Cell Phone, because I was so captivated by his extraordinary life. Such a genius, born in absolute poverty, but with a gift for understanding numbers in the most sophisticated ways. He used to have no money, so he would have to write on a slate, wipe it out and write on the same slate again. So much of his original findings could not be preserved. He would use other people's exercise books that have been thrown away and write in the margins because he couldn't afford to buy a fresh exercise book. And yet this man came up with some of the greatest mathematical insights of the 20th century and is known as perhaps the greatest mathematician of the modern era. He was discovered because he wrote some brilliant essays and sent them off to the famous mathematician G.H. Hardy in England. Hardy had the breadth of vision and heart to invite Ramanujan to come to England and pay his way. So he came to the University of Cambridge, where for a few short years that God gave him, he did some outstanding work and came up with some of the greatest mathematical insights of the 20th century. But unfortunately, that terrible cold climate of England, which is the worst climate in the world, took its toll. He had no food to eat. He was vegetarian. There was nothing available in those days for England, in England for vegetarians. He fell very sick, and at a tragically young age, he passed away. But before he passed away, he left an abiding legacy that even today is being demonstrated and is being used for new proofs. But why do I tell the story of Ramanujan? Because he is the person who first made mathematics interesting for me, and that is long after I had stopped being a student. I read a wonderful biography of him called The Man Who Knew Infinity by Robert Canigal. And if any of you are really interested in biographies, you would really enjoy this book. Otherwise, you can read my essay, which is only 2 or 3 pages long. This is about 400 pages long. But in it, there was a fascinating story of Ramanujan lying on his sick bed not far away from his death. And Professor Hardy comes to visit him. And of course, Ramanujan is very sick and Hardy doesn't know what to say. So to make conversation, he says, you know, I rode in a taxi cab, number 1729, and it seems to me to be a very dull number, very uninteresting number. And Ramanujan, who is on death's door, is lying in a sick bed, immediately says, no, 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 Hardy, it's a very interesting number because it is the smallest number expressible as the sum of 2 cubes in 2 different ways. Now, can you imagine somebody sick who can see a number and see the magic potential of that number so quickly? And yes, you can sit down with a calculator or with your own brains and work out which of the 2 ways you can add 2 cubes and get 1729, and how are the 2 different ways you can do it if you use positive cubes, not negative cubes. But the interesting thing is he's lying sick in bed, he has no paper or pen with him. His mind immediately raced through the numbers and came up with this brilliant insight. Now this is the kind of story that makes mathematics so exciting. And in a similar way, I want to congratulate, I would call him not principal, but Professor Ajay Kumar, because what he has done as a professor is he has tried to, by bringing this maths lab into the open space, he has tried to make abstract concepts relevant to real life. Just as Ramanujan was able to take a taxi cab number and connect it to the abstract formulation of 2 cubes in 2 different ways, similarly what Ajay Kumar has done is, to his own equivalent of the taxi cab story, he has taken a little outdoor garden and put in it a cube, a cylinder, a pyramid, a square, a cuboid, all of these things, and made it easy for you to come and see physically a concept that otherwise would only be an abstract in your textbook. I genuinely believe that most learning takes place with that kind of stimulation. And I want to congratulate Ajay Kumar and Kendriya Vidyalaya for having done this open maths lab. I am told it is the only one of its kind in the whole of India. So extra congratulations to you for having done that. It's certainly an example that others must emulate, and I am sure that the young children here will have an opportunity, by learning from doing, by touching, by feeling, by seeing, they will have the stimulation that will take them even farther in the world of mathematics. So I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here once again. Today was the day that we were able to announce the good news that the Kendriya Vidyalaya Regional Centre will now be established in Trivandrum. It was inaugurated today. And that means that for all the issues we have to deal with, which earlier had to be taken to Chennai and for the last 3 years has been taken to Kochi, can now be dealt with in your own backyard right next to you in Thiruvananthapuram. So with those words, on that happy note, let me again congratulate Ajay Kumar and everyone at the Kendriya Vidyalaya Pallipuram. May the Open Maths Lab be a big success, and above all, kids, May you enjoy using it, walking around it, and being able to explain to other children how you can visualize and feel a sphere or a cuboid even if they can't. Congratulations, all the best. Namaskaram and Jai Hind.
Our chairman, Shri Ajay Bharathan, DIGP CRPF, has been a constant source of support and encouragement in all our endeavors. Sir has always guided us in our thick and thin. Let me call upon Shri Ajay Bharathan for felicitation. Sir, please.
Honorable Minister of State for HRD, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Shri Ajay Kumar, Principal, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Pallipuram, Shri Johnson Matthew, Assistant Commissioner, Kendriya Vidyalaya, Mrs. Srilekha Sri Kumar, Vice Principal, Kendriya Vidyalaya, guests, teachers and dear children, a very good morning to you all. Confucius, the great Chinese teacher and philosopher, had once said, I hear and I forget, I see and I remember, I do and I understand. What pearls of wisdom had the great man uttered. This philosophy holds good in any time period, be it back then or be it today. Pedagogy today has changed from what it was in the past. The best kind of instruction is no longer believed to be resting only within books. Education now is an interactive process where the child is given a free hand to learn by participating actively in the learning process. The child is not a pot to be filled with knowledge, but a lamp to be lit. Modern educators strive to light the spark of curiosity within the child to fuel his own quest for learning. This line of thinking is what schools today aim to attain, and Kendriya Vidyalaya has always been a forerunner in this, adopting student-friendly strategies such as this. Kendriya Vidyalay's teaching policies have always been learning by doing, and this open maths lab that we are inaugurating today is a wonderful example of our educating approach. This open maths lab, a brainchild of our able principal, Shri Ajay Kumar, is a great achievement for our school. Not only do we feel immensely proud about having this wonder on our school premises, but we also feel intensely humbled at having our dear leader, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Honorable Minister of State for HRD, inaugurating it for us. We express our heartfelt gratitude for his esteemed presence, for having made time for us, despite his many commitments. Dr. Shashi Tharoor, true to his Office of Human Resource Development, has always generously obliged us by lending us his gracious presence and inspiring our children and youth towards progress in their academics and careers. He has also been kind enough to grace ceremonies among our CRPF soldiers too, and has always represented the youth icon for us. Thank you very much, sir, for partaking in our celebrations and crowning this humble achievement of ours. Our principal, Shri Ajay Kumar, is indeed a creative leader, and with his thinking out of the box ideas, our school is indeed scaling greater heights. He has always strived to usher in ingenious developments in whichever schools he goes. He has added his personal touches to enrich the learning environment for thousands of young learners. The model that he has created today, consisting of 16 geometrical structures such as cuboid, sphere, pyramid, semisphere, etc. Children can see these objects, feel them, measure them, and check for themselves various formulae that they learn theoretically in their textbooks. That way, mathematical concepts would become a familiar part of their daily routine, and they will not suffer from formula phobia anymore. Principal Ajay Kumar magnanimously even expresses willingness to let other schools also visit us in order to be able to witness and make use of this creation of ours. At this juncture, I would also like to remind all teachers and staff, especially of the higher classes, that there are just a few weeks left for the board and annual examination. Just as we did last year, we must aim to achieve very good results, that is 100% results for the school this year too. Not only the 10th and 12th, each class is important and needs to be given undivided attention. The foundation for good performance in the board exams lies in strengthening of knowledge in the lower classes. Right from the primary and middle school level, we have to groom our students for their successful careers tomorrow. A tree without strong roots is bound to shrivel and perish well before its time. Finally, once again I extend my sincere gratitude to our respective chief guests for the day. My best wishes to the students, children and principal and all others present here today. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. An academician par excellence, an administrator of consummate ability, and a man of great tactical wisdom, our Assistant Commissioner, Sri Johnson Matthew, has supervised the running of our Vidyalaya with great care and skill. May I now call upon Sir for felicitation. Sir, please.
Good afternoon to all of you. Honorable Chief Guest for today's function, Dr. Shashi Tharoor, Minister State, HRD, Government of India. Revered Sri Ajay Baradan, Chairman, Vidyalaya Management Committee as well as DIG for the CRPF Pallipuram Training Center. Dear Sri Ajay, Principal, and Madam Srilekha, principals from other Vidyalayas, dignitaries who are sitting before me, parents, learned staff members and my dear children. It gives me immense pleasure to be with our Honorable Minister Sir, to be part of this group to inaugurate a wonderful Max